Now let's talk about the CSS units. In CSS, we can represent the length using the different CSS units. And inside these CSS units, there is especially two types of length. That is, one is the absolute length and another one is the relative length. If you see here, we can use the length property in the width, height, margin, padding, and the font size. I have already told you that we have the two types of length. One is the absolute length and another one is the relative length. Absolute length means it has the fixed size. If we know the output device, then we use the absolute length. And if we don't know the output device, then we use the relative length. Relative length means it depends upon the parent element and the root element. And absolute length means it is always the fixed value. And inside the absolute length, you can see here, mm, this is millimeter, cm, this is centimeter, in, this is inch, pf, this is pixel, pt, this is point, and another pc, this is pica. And if you see the relation, you can see here 1 centimeter is equals to 10 mm and 1 inch is equals to 96 pixel, which is equals to 2.54 centimeter, and 1 pt is equals to 72 pixel, and 1 pc is equals to 12 pt. And if you see the relative length here, here is a 1 is the em, and em is totally depend upon the font size of parent element, and another one is the rem. It is totally depend upon the font size of the root element, and another one is the BS. This is the viewport height. You can see here, this is in the red line. This is the our viewport height. And if you talk about the BW, this is the viewport width, and you can see here, and this is our viewport width. Only the screen that you see in the browser. The white space on the height, that is the viewport height, and white space on the width, that is the viewport width. And if you say about the percentage, this is the width of the parent element. We can take the 50% width of the parent element or 50% height of the parent elements. It also totally depends upon the parent element. At first, let's go into the VS Code and let's explore these examples and all things. First of all, let's create here another file, name as css units.html. And inside this file is creating here. I'm using the boilerplates, and I can change this document into the CSS units, units units. And I want to use here the internal CSS, so I'm using here style tag here. And inside the body section, I want to make one div, and I want to put here lorem 10. And I want to run this code here from the clicking on the go live options. You can see here, this is my lorem text 10 size. I want to give here one border at first. So first of all, I want to create here one ID. ID is equals to div1. And I want to make one ID here, that is the div1. And inside this div1, I can create here the border, that is 1 pixel, solid red. And if I go to browser, I'm getting here the border. And first of all, let's talk about the absolute length. So I'm making here comment by pressing Ctrl+K. And I will talk about the at first absolute length, LENGTH length. And inside the absolute length, we have the centimeter, millimeter, and then the inch, and then the pixel, pt, and then the pc. And we have already seen the relationship between this centimeter, millimeter, inch, pc, and pt and pc. So at first, let's talk about this centimeter. And I want to give here the border. I provided the border. I want to give here the width. And if I write here the 100, not 100, 10 centimeter width, then you can see here, I'm providing the 10 centimeter width. And if I want to provide the millimeter, then I am providing here the 100 millimeter, and this is the size of 100 millimeter. Okay. And I want to change this millimeter value also here, and I'm providing here 100 millimeter or 1000 millimeter. If I provide the 1000 millimeter, this is become so long, and I got this scroll bar here. And I want to change into the millimeter into the inch. If I provide 1 inch, it is 96 pixel. If I provide 3 inch, then this is 96 into 3 pixel. It's not 3 pixel, that is 3 inch. If I want to write the inch, then I have to write here 3 in. In represents the inch. Okay, I'm getting the 96 into 3 pixels. And another thing is the pixel, and I'm providing the pixels here 300 pixel. Okay, as we already discussed about the pixels, and most of the time we use the pixels only. And another one is the pt. And if I provide 1 pt is equals to 72 pixels. So if I provide the 4 pt, it means 72 into 4 pixels are over here. 7, not only 4. I want to provide here for the 50 pt. And if I go to here, now I got the 50 pt width. And if I want to write the PC, then I can write here the 12 PC or whatever I want, and I'm providing here the 12 PC value. In this way, you can use the absolute length. If you have already know the output device, then you can use this absolute length. And now let's talk about the another length, that is the relative length, RELATIV, relative alias GGS length. And to make the relative length, at first let's create here the another div inside this div. And I will talk about the first parent element and the child element. If I create here the another div, and now you can see here this div, the ID containing div, this is my parent div, and I'm creating here the another div inside this div. This is known as the child div. And if you talk about the parent element of this div, this is the body, and parent of the body, this is the heading. And the heading of this body, all element root element is the HTML element, is the root element or parent element of all other HTML elements. So in this way you can make the parent element. And I want to give here I want to discuss about the relative length. Inside the relative length, there is a EM, another one is the REM, another one is the VH, that is viewport height, and also the VW, that is viewport width, and the percentage. It will take the height and width of the certain percentage of the parent element. So if I give, I'm doing nothing here. I'm just writing here, and I want to make here the another ID. ID is equals to div2, and if I style some inside the div2, I'm writing here div2, and also I can give here the border, that is 1 pixel solid. Okay, I will keep the another color, that is this new color. And if I go to the browser here, now I got the parent div and then the child div. I'm writing nothing here inside this div2. So I want to write here something, lower-m, lower-m5. And if I press enter, lower-m5, and I got the lower-m5 text here. And at first I want to discuss about the EM. EM is totally dependent upon the parent element. And first of all, I want to give the font size of the parent element. I'm giving the width as 300 pixels here. Okay. Now I got the 300 pixels here. And first of all, I want to give the font size of the parent element. So font size, that is, if I provide the font size as 20 pixels, and if I go to the browser, now I got the 20 pixels. This is little bit greater than the previous, and I'm not giving the size of the into the this child font size. So first of all, I want to give here the child element. I want to give the font size as 1 EM. Okay, if I'm giving the 1 EM, nothing gonna be changed because the size remains same. And if I want to make the double the parent element, then I can write here the 2 EM. And if I go to here, now the size of this font size is double than the parent element. And if I want to make only the 50% size of parent element, then I can give the 0.5. It means this size is become the half of this parent element. So in this way, you can use the EM property, or you can shift the 0.6, 0.7, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, whatever you want. Okay, I'm giving the 5 times greater than this for child element font size, then I can make it possible. So, but normally I don't use like this. So I'm giving only the 2 EM or 1 EM or whatever I want. And if now let's talk about the another things, that is the REM. And if I write here, you can see here, if I add REM, if I write here REM, and you can see this is text is changed. It depends upon the root element, and root element is our HTML element, and it will take the different pixels as 20 pixels. Let's create this HTML also here, HTML, and I want to give here the font size. If I give the 20 pixel, and if I go to here, now this takes the 2 times of 20 pixels, means 40 pixels. And if I make the 0.5 rem, now this becomes the half of the root element, that is, it becomes the 10 pixel. And why we need to use these such types of rem in EM? It means if I change only in the root element, that is, if I change only the 10 pixel, if I provide the 30 pixels here, now you can see our child element is gonna be changed. So I'm not changing into the div2, I'm changing in the HTML, and size of the div2 is changed. Likewise, if I change in the div1 font size, and if I using the EM property in the div2, then the size of the div2 property automatically change while I'm changing into the parent element. So to change all the things, all the font size, all the height and width in the parent element or the root element, then you can change automatically in the remaining part if they use the EM property or the REM property. Then in this case, we can use the concepts of the EM and the REM property, and that is the relative length. So in relative length, if you are talking about the EM and REM, this is totally depend upon the font size. To provide the font size, we can use the EM and REM. Okay. And now let's talk about the BH. If I provide the width as BH, width in BH, if I providing the 10 BH, it means it will take the 10% of total white. Why not just provide the BW in width? It will take the 10% of total width. It means it will take only 10%. If I write here the 50 BW, if I write here the 50 BW here, and you can see here the 50% width is taken. And if I make this browser smaller, then it will take only the 50% of this smaller browser. And if I make this bigger, then it will take 50% of this white space. Likewise, you can use in the height property also. If I provide here the height, I'm only using the parent property, parent element. So if I use the height as, if I type 15 BH, and if I go to the browser here, it goes the 50% height from here. So if I write, sorry, this is GSG height, and if I go to here, now it got the 50% height of this white space. It won't take total width or total height. It will take only the white space height and width. And now let's talk about the percentage. Okay, if I provide the 50% height and 50% width here, and if I writing here in the child element, if I write the width property here, and if I talk about the 50%, and you can see here inside this part, it takes the 50% width. And if I talk about if I write here the 100% width, then it will take up to the parent element, up to this time. Okay, up to this part. This is the it is taking the 50% width. And same things goes into the height also. If I talk about the HCSGST height, if I write here the 50% height, spelling is mistake here. That's GST height, and I have to give this semicolon here. And if I go to here, it will take the 50% height. And if I write here the 100% here, now it will take the 100% height from here. So it also take the 100% height and up to the parent element. In this way, you can use the different units in CSS like absolute length and then the relative length. Inside the absolute length, we have discussed about the centimeter, millimeter, inch, pixel, PT, and the pica. And in relative length, we have discussed about the EM, REM, BS, PW, and percentage. If you get any confusion regarding this video, you can ask me in the comment section. Thank you. Thank you so very much.